What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how you can be a more explosive wide receiver, okay? So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could give you some value. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and you guys would like a 4-month-long gym workout schedule to follow on a day-to-day basis, check out that very first link in the description below for our 16-week wide receiver gym workout plan. It's 4 months of workouts with the exact sets, reps, and examples of each exercise that you guys should be doing. So check out that very first link in the description below if you guys would like some more information and how you can get access to that. Let's get started with this video. So now, first thing is first, we are going to be talking about how you guys can snap down at the top of the route. So everybody loves to talk about snapping down, dropping their hips, violent hip drop. What are the actual mechanics behind that movement? And that's what we're going to be discussing today. So we're looking at this clip here. This is going to be a whip route here. Now, on this whip route, again, DB was in a good position, but this is in a very, very explosive break. And we were trying to focus on the break. So number one, when you guys are dropping into cuts, making cuts, even when it's a speed cut, you have to make sure that we do not strike the ground with our heel first. So that is one of the main things that causes wide receivers to have knee injuries, ankle injuries, lose speed, and just to cause unnecessary wear and tear on their body. And that is from how they strike the ground with their foot. So when we look at this example here on this whip route, this wide receiver, he does, because we talk a lot about selling routes on this channel. I talk a lot about that as a coach. And when you're selling routes, one of the big things that gets DBs to commit, gets DBs to bite, is by running in full stride, not chopping your steps, not breaking your stride, right? And you see how this wide receiver is able to do that. He's able to break right in stride. He's not taking choppy steps. He's not beating the drum. He is just dropping his hips right now and being able to cut. Now, much easier said than done. I can sit back right here sitting down and tell you, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. Much easier said than done, right? And I think everybody who's tried this knows that. But one of the things that guys will screw up on is the foot strike. And people are so hesitant about making this explosive cut because they're so where I get the comments all the time. Oh, there goes the ACL. Oh, my ACL is gone. If you have bad form, yeah. Just like how if you're doing squats in the gym, you could blow out your ACL if you have bad form. You need to have the correct form, and the foot strike is what does that. So you see when he strikes the ground here, he's on that middle arch ball of his foot. That is where we want to be because that is going to keep the cut inside of your frame. The reason why wide receivers will lose speed is because they reach. They'll strike the ground with their heel first. This will be way outside their frame. But when you strike the ground, fellas, on the middle arch ball of your foot, that cut stays inside of your frame. But when you strike on the heel, your weight goes backwards, your upper body goes backwards, and that's when you'll end up dragging the back foot, taking extra steps, and it's all based on your foot strike. So this is the same thing for when you have to snap down. Same thing as if you're running a slant, same thing as if you're running a post. You do not want to reach out for your cuts and try to over-exaggerate striking on the heel. All that will do is slow you down and cause unnecessary wasted movement. Because when you want to try to get explosive breaks, we talk a lot about dropping your hips violently, right? I want to be aggressive. But a lot of guys physically can't get low like this because they have improper foot strike. They'll strike on the heel, and like I said, their weight shoots up. They'll end up just bending at their waist, and their chin will go way over their knee, and they'll be off balance, or most likely, their chest will be straight up in the air. And when their chest is straight up in the air and they're leaning back, you're going to fall back. You're not going to have any explosion out of the break. So make sure we stay on that middle arch ball of your foot when you strike the ground. Now, when I'm getting low like this, like I said, we want to be violent. And the violent, aggressive drop of your hips is what you need to create energy to be able to shoot you out of this route. Not only to be able to slow down while you're running full speed, but it creates energy. A violent drop of your hips, having the correct foot strike, and combining that with speed leading into the break, that is what will shoot you out of every single route with a ton of speed. So let's play this full speed again, and then we're going to show another example of how you guys can drop low. So main thing on this example, this is like another whip route type of break, but obviously there's a very explosive cut from this wide receiver. QB kind of sold on the throw here. But when he breaks on this whip route, I want you to see how low he's able to get here. This is the position that every single wide receiver wants to strive for when they make cuts. Whether you're running a comeback, whether you're running a dig and maybe you have to throw by a defender and slip under, or whether you're running a whip, to be able to get explosion, we have to obviously get low. I think of running routes like it's like a 40-yard dash, right? If anybody's experienced with the 40-yard dash or who has maybe ran a 40-yard dash before, they tell you not to stand straight up and try to run as hard as you can. They talk a lot about something called a drive phase, which is that first like 5 to 10 yards where you're trying to be as powerful as possible to accelerate you into the next 30 yards so you run through the finish line at top speed. You don't lose speed. Now, I think of that like running routes. Like I think of when you drop into your break, that's like the drive phase. We want to try to be low and we want to try to get to an explosive position. Me being violent is how I could turn that explosion. Like me being violent with my hips is how I could shoot out of the break and control that speed. But me getting low shoots me out of the break with a ton of speed. So when we drop, what's a good gauge? I like to tell my wide receivers to sit in a chair. You want to sit in a chair with your butt. So everybody's probably been at school before and everybody's sat in a desk before, I'm sure. So when you sit down in a desk, you don't like go chest first and put your chest almost like on the desk and then sit down, right? You just sit straight down. You try to keep your back straight and you just sit straight down. That's what I want you to do at the top of the break. Now, when a lot of guys will do that, when I'll tell them to sit down like so, they can't get their and this is like an extremely low position. This is like insane. You do not have to move exactly like this, trust me. But it's good to try to shoot for this because what a lot of guys will do is when they sit in that chair, their back will stay completely straight and they will fall backwards, like I was saying. So you want to make sure that we are sitting into a chair, but we are bringing my chin to my knee. We are literally trying to touch my knee with my chin because that's a balanced position. If you don't get low and don't sit in the chair and try to touch your chin to your knee, you're probably going to just bend at your waist and fall forward or lean forward and cause extra steps at the break. But if you drop your butt down, sitting in a chair, bring the chin to your knee. I tell my wide receivers, think of it like an empty soda can and you're trying to crush the can. That is the explosive position that we need to get to. That's how, number one, we slow down. But number two, I generate power, I generate explosion, and that can get me out of the break fast. So make sure, number one, fellas, foot strike. Have the correct strike. Ball of the foot, middle arch. Number two, we're dropping and sitting into a chair. Number three, my chin goes to my knee. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this wide receiver running that whip route and getting low to make that crazy change of direction. Okay, so now, after I make that explosive drop, I have the correct foot strike, let's say. Let's say I get low enough. Let's say I'm violent enough with my hips. Let's say my feet are all inside my frame. I'm ready to go. Chin goes to my knee. What do I do to get out of the break now? And the steps after your break are probably the most important steps in terms of eliminating wasted time. So let's watch this wide receiver. He's running a dig route versus this inside leverage DB. So he's doing that like slip under throw by move. So let's watch it full speed. So he snaps down with his hips in and out of this break and then is able to accelerate to the ball and he makes this catch. So let's talk about it. When he snaps down, you see ball of his foot inside of his frame, number one. Number two, he is sitting in the chair. Where's his chin going? Chin is going to his knee. Empty soda can, you're just crushing the can. Now, after he snaps down, this is like that high, I would say this is more high level. This is like guys who are like, okay, I'm starting to get down this. Like if I have a receiver that I'm training and he's never worked with me before, I'm probably, when we're working on snapping down, I'm probably not even going to mention steps to him until he gets that trigger step and that violent hip drop down. Because then we could worry about steps. But when you start to get it down, you start to understand, okay, I can drop. I'm comfortable dropping my hips. Now it's trying to get that extra 1%, 5% better. So after you start dropping your hips, you start thinking about the steps. And the goal after I drop my hips is to get my hips. I drop my hips, but now I have to get my hips out of the break as fast as possible. Whether that's a 90 cut, whether that's a 45 cut, right? I got to get my hips out as quick as possible. So that comes from pivoting your feet. So you see, he snaps at the outside foot. What does his second step do? He starts to turn his toe. So now his third step, when he plants, can hook around and you could actually drive. Because now, because I pivoted off the second step, that started to turn my hips and I could drive off of that cut leg to get me out. So it's like a snap, a pivot, and a hook. This is prevalently used on like comebacks, right? Like let's say, for example, he was running a comeback, DB wasn't here, but he snaps here. You would pivot, almost trying to turn your foot at a 45, hook the third step around so we could drive off that third step. Again, fellas, it's all about eliminating wasted steps. And again, not so much wasted steps, because I worry about saying that like, hey, cut down the steps, because guys get so caught up in eliminating steps that they'll run into a break and they slow down because they're like, oh, well, I'm going to try to get out of it in 2 steps now. Do not slow down. Trust your hip drop. The hip drop is what slows you down. Like I said, this is after you get down the hip drop and the accelerate, decelerate portion of this. Do not worry about steps if we are not there yet. You worry about dropping your hips and selling fade. But like I say this because it's about eliminating wasted time at the break point, not steps, time. Cutting out steps efficiently will eliminate wasted time. If you slow down, you're still wasting time. But remember, pivoting off of the step after you snap down can get your hips turned faster and can get you out of the break quicker, which makes a more explosive cut. So let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job at this wide receiver snapping down, flipping his hips, and then getting in and out of this break. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys as usual. And again, fellas, if you would like a 4-month daily wide receiver gym workout schedule that you can follow, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. See you guys next time.